Friends, it's time. For centuries, we've been focused on the I am, helping each other to be the most we can be. I feel it's time to focus on the we are. For me, everything is consciousness. We are consciousness expressing ourselves in a sea of consciousness, like waves rising and falling in the ocean. We are forms with different shapes and different potentialities, animated by the same force, life. Disconnected from the source, we go dark. Each of us has our own personal frequency, a vibe, a presence. Think of the tree outside, a friend, an organisation or ideology, shaped by intent or will, wounding, karma, grace and gratitude. Things, all things, including us, can be dodgy, passionate, open, closed, depressive, receptive, peaceful, brooding. We all have a flavour of consciousness. And my take is that the essential essence of each form is pure divinity, perfection, beauty, love, life. Every form has a frequency, and every collection of forms has a collective frequency, including groups and organisations. The fun happens between the forms, in the resonance, the relationships. Think of a brother watching his sister playing with her doll. He sees the fun she's having, so he takes the doll and ironically, immediately loses interest in the game. His interest was in the connection he saw between his sister and the doll, and he broke it. The thing that matters is the space between. Life happens in the space between the forms. Two tennis players, two friends, two companies, between you and your dog, your work, a forest. And the space we hold in between is everything. Earth has a frequency or ether. Some call it Gaia. Every individual has a frequency or presence. Our soul, perhaps. Our collective thoughts and emotions have a frequency or presence, which means that organisations have an ambience, known as culture, group spirit or lexion. Ideologies, movements, nations have a presence. Some call the powers or authorities. The collective psyche of all of us has a frequency, known as the Overmind, the mass mind or global brain. And everything happens in the resonance between the frequencies. Wherever you are, your energy is in resonance with the frequencies at that place, with a particular natural ambience, the imprintable reflective ether or earth frequency, with a particular overmind frequency, a social, cultural flavour of consciousness that tells us how things get done around here. And also with the ideologies, groups or organisations you're aligned with. There is a presence. We live immersed in a sea of fluctuating frequencies. New things, including organisations, are born in the tension between the frequencies. Organisations solve problems. Organisations are made up of a multitude of relationships, a multitude of frequencies resonating together with different beliefs, desires and fears. When we are emotionally lazy, when we forget, feign ignorance or sleep, our organisations reflect dysfunction and ignorance. Like us, disconnected from their source, organisations also go dark. Everything we do, think and feel imprints the subtle ethers. When we recognise the space between, the resonance between groups or activities, when we treat each interaction with respect, with dignity and caring, our organisations become dignified, uplifted, joyful. Organisational frequencies reflect that with which they are imprinted. Angry, belligerent acts produce angry and belligerent vibes. In consciousness, attention is the focusing force. The more attention, the bigger the frequency becomes. Give a particular frequency enough attention and it becomes a stream in the overmind, disconnected from the influence of the heart. For us and for groups to live well, we need to be here in our full authenticity, to express our essential divinity, our love, our perfection through the frequencies in every interaction. Have you ever felt like a puppet, a slave to the dominant psychological waves and mechanistic programs we've collectively and largely unconsciously created? It's because we are not recognizing or honoring the life that is within them. The life in the overmind, in the authorities, in groups, and in our natural world is the same life that flows through you and I. It's just in a different form. What are you identifying with? Overmind systems can feel overwhelming, oppressive, compelling. We can feel powerless. They can eat up life, beauty, and innocence of other forms. They can annihilate that which sustains them. Ironically, overmind systems are also reflecting the frequencies with which they've been created. All forms carry the same essence, even the ugly ones. When we treat each other with dignity, we remember our inherent goodness. When we treat our organisations, ideologies, the overmind, or the earth with dignity, they also remember their inherent goodness. A single candle can completely change the frequency of a darkened world, but it needs to be lit, and the place to light it is in the space between you and the other. I'm calling you, asking you to awaken. Friends, we have work to do. What feeling are you carrying when you interact with the other? Love, truth, greed, anger, hatred, selfishness, joy, aspiration. Are you following the leadings of the heart, the indistinguishable light of you? Are you listening to the poet that recognizes the interconnections, that looks for the light in the other? What if you and I identify with the I am? What if we hold the I am as the key to aligning the we are? What if we learn to recognize overmind agendas? Can you resist joining a witch hunt, a wave of mass hysteria? Are you lazily following the mass programming? Or are you on the gravy train, remaining silent as you prosper from the depravity? The authorities, the overmind, are a river in the landscape of life. They are a construction, a sandpit in the garden of life. Reconnect to the garden and we are no longer constrained by the sandpit. Ideologies, corporations, movements, bureaucracies, political systems are constructions. Treat them with dignity. Play in the realities they've created. But I'm inviting you to be conscious of what you are identifying with. Listen to the symphony, the bigger life, not just the defined narrative. The defined narratives are tools. They are not the whole game. For lifetimes we've learnt that awareness, vision, sourcing, gratitude and aspiration bring life, love and joy and connection. Are you waiting for a catastrophe to break the quiet desperation, to expose the corruption, or to release you from your sanctioned enslavement? Inside you is light, life and joy of truth. Reconnect. My understanding is that it's a natural law that your true nature cannot be enslaved unless you accept the enslavement. Like many of us, I'm wanting to shift our collective direction. I'm asking you to take up the baton, to inspire those around you. For me, one way is to actively feel the vulnerable openness of other life forms, to honour each, to treat each form with dignity. Another is to reconnect our organisations with the love, beauty and perfection at their source. Will you help love, honour and uphold the life that empowers our groups, the earth and us?